YouTube, and as this TiVo to your regularly scheduled timing to give you a breaking news bulletin. Fortunately, I give you the Ron Burgundy Cannonball since I'm using the YouTube Go Live right now, and I always told you guys that if I ever got any breaking news, I would just go live and just wing it and go from there, man. So I'll wait for some of you guys to get in there. Matt Forge, Cannonball indeed. Just about to publish it. And then my man Mikey Sutton hit me up on the DM and he was like, yo, man, I got huge news. The story's developing, but he got some details on it. Throughout today's news cycle, there are a lot of reports saying that John Krasinski was meeting with, man, the quality on this is really bad. Anyway, was meeting with Kevin Feige. One of the reports says he 9 to 5. We call those teleconferences, not virtual meetings. But I guess that's the big nowadays. Apparently, Krasinski was meeting with Kevin Feige to iron out some details, and quite possibly 4 or 5 months ago that John Krasinski was who they wanted to play Reed Richards along with Emily Blunt, and how the Fantastic Four went along. So, again, shout out to everybody in the live chat: Matt Ford, Gorilla Grad Crow, Marco 808, Edgardo Ray, Sassy Pants, RP, Alex Perez. Hopefully, some of my boys can be in here down the moderate the live chat. Let me. Yeah, so I was just minding my own business, and I got this across the news. So pretty much everybody knows now that John Krasinski has been meeting with Kevin Feige for the role. My man Mikey Sutton was able to get some more details from his insiders that are working remotely on what it is, and it's kind of what we've kind of been talking about on our long-term specs and some of the other things we've been talking about. So people have been following the channel for a while. This won't be that much price to you. Because as soon as I get enough people in here, I don't want to. Because the last time I did this, I had to do it all over again. So I'll try to get you all in there so I can just read it once. I'll read you guys a scoop. But it's exciting news, and it's man, some of these things are almost too easy, right? You know it's coming, and so it doesn't really surprise those who've been reading the tea leaves. So I just want to get ahead of it. And it's interesting to me because it features another character that I'm really excited for. And this movie that they're talking about is going to be huge. For those that don't know, John Krasinski is also a great director and writer. He did the Quiet Place film, which is a great horror film, kind of sci-fi horror, more horror with his wife, Emily Blunt. If you don't know, Emily Blunt was Mary Poppins for Disney. And so there is a connection. So very interesting stuff. So let me get right to it. Yeah, we did talk about Mole Man before. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm going to knock this out. I'll probably have to read it twice since a lot of you are just joining. Or you guys can watch it on the rewind, man. I'm just going to read it. I'm going to read it from my phone. And then that way I can't even put up a screenshot because I'm not using StreamYard, because this is the fastest way to go live, and it allows you to go in high definition. So bear with me as I just read off of my phone. This is a write-up I got from my man Mikey Sutton. So insert the Lord's theme song and insert the Cannonball. Shout out to Chad Crow. Jesse, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. If you could hold down the live chat, make sure there's not any weird people in there that everybody seems to be joining. Any shout out to Tom, Tim, and Tim for spamming every single video that comes out there. All right. This is a Mikey Sutton scoop. It was on January 27th, 2020. The Mikey scoop. John Krasinski was the frontrunner to play Mr. Fantastic and the Fantastic Four in the MCU, even though countless fans have been blowing up social media to have him in that role. I'll leave a link to the Lord's video that we did about this. It was basically part of a Mikey Sutton scoop jam that we did back, and it was in regards to Into the Multiverse of Madness. And at the end of that video, I said the Illuminati was going to be introduced at the end of Into the Multiverse of Madness. I'll get to you in a second, Chaco, but I appreciate it. Okay, so even though the countless fans have been blown up social media to have him in the role of Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, that doesn't mean studios will listen, which is why Henry Cavill as the Wolverine will likely never happen. But several insiders have told Mikey that Krasinski is in serious negotiations for Mr. Fantastic. As for his actress wife, Emily Blunt, who'd make the perfect Invisible Woman, that is still up in the air. She apparently isn't interested in what a lengthy contract that would be. So nevertheless, sources have told him that there's a strong chance Blunt will be cast, with Krasinski being pretty much a sure thing. So there you go. We know Krasinski is pretty much a sure thing. Emily Blunt is up in the air right now. Obviously, her career is booming, so she doesn't want to get hunkered down with a long contract, of 6 films or what have you, since she's doing a lot of other stuff. However, Marvel Studios is apparently interested in Krasinski beyond just his acting abilities. They are considering him to direct and possibly write the Fantastic Four film. So this is new news that we're finally hearing about the Fantastic Four movie. I think he would be a great credit to that film. And that's not all. Apparently, there was talk about Krasinski helming the Midnight Suns film, which would have a new MCU take on Ghost Rider if Blade is a hit. So there you go. We've been talking about this Midnight Suns things. It's not going away. At first, it was supposed to be Hulu. The Hulu stuff kind of went weird. And we had Hellstrom still coming on to Hulu. So now they're seeing how Blade would be taken and the big screen if it's a success, which I have no doubt it will be, and then potentially going into doing some type of Midnight Suns for the big screen. So there you go. Things are always subject to change. Originally, Midnight Suns was planned for Hulu. All that got washed. They are still doing the Hellstrom stuff, but now they're saying that maybe we could put on the big screen. So there you go. The key is Midnight Suns is going to happen. Ghost Rider number 32 or number 28, excuse me. For now, though, the focus is on nailing down Krasinski as Reed Richards and having him debut in Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness with the rest of the Illuminati, then onto Spider-Man 3 as Peter Parker's mentor. If Krasinski finally signs on, it wouldn't be a stretch to imagine Blunt joining him. You're flying the ointment, Mikey Sutton. So that's a lot to unpack there. So first off, Krasinski is pretty much penciled in to play Reed Richards in the MCU. Emily Blunt is a little bit skeptical right now because obviously it would be a large commitment. Multi-picture deals are typically how Disney and Marvel likes to do these things to get the same actors. The only thing that is really glaring of that is obviously Terrence Howard and Don Cheadle as War Machine. And then there were reports today that's saying Don Cheadle's contract is up, but he never said the War Machine was up. So that's interesting to see where they'll go. I'm pretty sure that Don Cheadle will not pull the Terrence Howard and he'll stick with the War Machine for a few more, showings, especially on Disney Plus, which is our last scoop that we had. That War Machine series coming to Disney Plus, and Ironheart was going to be in it. But let me unpack the other parts of this. Is part of the deal, they are considering him to direct and possibly write a Fantastic Four. So the scoop that we had originally was toward the end of Into the Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange was going to pull some powerful characters to help him keep eye over certain different portals for him. And I think we talked about it was Black Panther, Reed Richards, Namor at the time, if they can still get it, and Doctor Strange, obviously, and there was one more that I can't think about now because there's so much. So there you go. It was going to be, so you're going to get the introduction of Reed Richards at the end of Into the Multiverse of Madness, which is just a huge, we all know Krasinski is a director. Midnight Suns would have a horror feel to it. Krasinski has that horror feel with The Quiet Place. I think he'd be a great hit for that. So obviously they want to see how Blade is. And I can imagine Blade is going to do huge box office, possibly $1 billion. I think people are really, really excited for Blade. So there you go. And then if you've been following this channel, we talked about how the Illuminati was coming. It was going to be introduced into the Multiverse of Madness and an introduction to Reed Richards. I can imagine out toward the end of the movie, maybe in the end credit scene, you see John Krasinski as Reed Richards. And also, we'd also talked about in one of the upcoming Spider-Man films, they want Reed Richards to be the brain mentor to Peter Parker. And so in this instance, it was be his science buddy. He doesn't really need the superhero's mentor, but he needs somebody smarter than him, right? And who else is smarter than him than Reed Richards? And we had talked about that on one of our past shows as well. So that would be in Spider-Man 3. So that's very exciting. I think this would be the dream casting for anybody who's a fan of film, of Marvel, of any of that good. I think this would be a great addition. So shout out to everybody that just joined in right now. This is from my man, Mikey Sutton. It would be great. So I'm pretty sure you guys will probably want to hear the scoop again. But I'll try to answer as many live questions in the chat as possible. This was today. I think all of this started when there were some leaks coming out that John Krasinski was meeting with had some teleconference calls with our man Kevin Feige. So just because this is in California, we have a shelter in place doesn't mean I'm working remotely. Tons of people work from home, and nowadays, a phone call, a Zoom meeting, whatever, you can do that all remotely. So even though things are kind of on a pause right now, you can still get business done. And, DC and Marvel are still going ahead and doing that, because life has to go on when this pandemic is over with 19 stuff. We can finally, hopefully, get to some normal semblance of normalcy. Did I say that right? Some normal semblance of normalcy. Okay. All right. So, well, I see a lot of people are in there now. Thank you for those who say I have a smooth face because I just had a cleansing mask put on days ago. I've been the experimentation piece for my girlfriend who's bored at home and wanted to try out some of these new cleansing masks. You like that? So once we get everybody in there, I'll read it over again. There you go. Reed Richards, Black Panther, Namor, the Illuminati. Black Bolt, also Jesse, JLS Comics. On our original scoop, we had Black Bolt was going to be on the Illuminati as well. He'll probably type up all the memos because if he spoke, the conference room would probably just destroy itself. But yeah, man, I'm excited because I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. I think, Marvel is going to do this right. This is the first family of Marvel Comics, the first team book from Marvel Comics. This is huge. They want to do it right. They want to get the stink out of Fox's 3 strikes and you're out for the god-awful Fantastic Four films. The last one was really, truly awful. The first 2, I kind of hit it on a curve because back then we really didn't have much as far as superhero films. So I kind of give it a little leeway, but it was doomed from the very beginning. Jessica Alba was a horrible casting choice for it. She can't act. She didn't look the part. I will say this, though. Jim Storm and Michael Chiklis were awesome as Chris Evans was awesome as John Storm. Michael Chiklis was awesome as a Thing. Ian Gefford, man, so-so, but, something good. Obviously, the Galactic Cloud pissed people off. But I think the Silver Surfer was pretty cool in the second. Rise of the Surfer, I thought the Silver Surfer was pretty cool, voiced by Lawrence Fishburne back then. Shout out to King of the Golden State, Otto. All right, guys, let me go through this scoop one more time since there's about 75 of us in here. This is from my man, Mikey Sutton. This is huge news, by the way. I mean, if you guys have been watching the Lords of Box for even on our old channel before we got deleted, some of our first scoops were regarding Fantastic Four. We said that they were going to show the FF logo and the X-Men logo at San Diego Comic-Con. They didn't. At the very end of the presentation of Hall H, Kevin Feige goes, "Oh, hey, I forgot to mention that we also have the Fantastic Four and the X-Men coming." So we all knew this was coming. The dream casting. I mean, if you just Google John Krasinski, Reed Richards, there are tons and tons. Hell, it'll probably be my thumbnail if I find a very cool Reed Richards, John Krasinski fan art that I'll put on there. But it's out there. People have been talking about. Emily Blunt would make a great Sue Storm. Whenever I think of Sue Storm, like physicality, I think of The Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, where she's had some guns on her son. I mean, she come on, she's like Oscar-worthy actor. So is John Krasinski. Both of them are great actor. I would be the power duo. But let me read it now so I can tell you what it is. I'm not saying Emily Blunt is going to be in it, but I'll just read it for you and then you can make up your mind yourself. Okay, so this is verbatim from my man Mikey Sutton, wrote this up for me. A Mikey Sutton scoop. It was on January 27th. The Mikey Sutton scoop that John Krasinski was the front runner to play Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four in the MCU. Even though countless fans have been blowing up social media to have him in that role, that doesn't mean studios will listen. That's why Henry Cavill as Wolverine likely won't happen. Sorry, guys. But several insiders have told Mikey that Krasinski is in serious negotiations for Mr. Fantastic. Nobody calls him Mr. Fantastic anymore, by the way. They just call him Reed Richards. Anyway, as for his actress wife, Emily Blunt, who would make the perfect Invisible Woman, that is still up in the air. She apparently isn't interested in what a lengthy contract that would be. So obviously she has a lot of, things going on right now. So, even if you figure it's the typical 3-picture rule, but Marvel likes to do 6-picture roles, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be in a film for an hour, but it can be a 5-minute role, a cameo role, and things of that nature. So that's the only thing that's holding him back right now. Nevertheless, sources told Mikey that there's a strong chance Emily Blunt will be cast with Krasinski being pretty much there's a strong chance Emily Blunt will cast but Krasinski is pretty much a sure thing. So there you go. They still don't know about Emily Blunt. Maybe there's going to be some negotiations. Maybe they want more money. You never know how these things go. But Krasinski, as of now, is pretty much a sure thing. However, Marvel Studios is apparently interested. However, Marvel Studios is apparently interested in Krasinski beyond just his acting abilities. They are considering him to direct and possibly write the Fantastic Four film. And that's not all. Apparently, there was talk about Krasinski helming the Midnight Suns film, which would have a new MCU take on Ghost Rider if Blade is a critical and box office success, which I have no doubt Blade will be $1 billion film. I said it here. That's my long, crazy take. Yeah. But with the rest of the Illuminati, as we had talked about on the Lords of Long Box about 2-3 months ago, it was part of a scoop jam that I did for Mikey Sutton along with Cosmic Wonder. With the rest of Illuminati at the end of Into the Multiverse of Madness. Then on Spider-Man 3 as Peter Parker's mentor, which we also talked about on this channel a few times. If Krasinski finally signs on, it wouldn't be a stretch to imagine Emily Blunt joining him. So there you go. So the husband signs on and goes, come on, honey, just do it for me. She's like, all right. You know what I mean? So if it was vice versa, and if it was Emily Blunt to pay Mr. Fantastic, John Krasinski be like, whatever you say, honey. I don't want to sleep on the couch. So I'll do whatever you say. But you never know, vice versa. There you go, boys and girls. So that's very exciting news. Very, very exciting indeed. So the Fantastic Four comics have been picking up a lot lately, but I would say go back and look at our videos and talk about all these long-term specs and different things that we've gotten that are Fantastic Four related. The first thing that comes to mind is Frankie Ray as Nova for Fantastic Four. That book has a great chance because the line that we've been told is what Marvel wants to do. They want to do the whole Frankie Ray girlfriend Johnny Storm, and then Galactus comes down. So not in the first film, but as the story arc comes. So even though people are saying there's not even a script Fantastic Four 1, but there are general ideas on what the studio wants to do when they lay out these kind of, I guess you could say plot lines, right? They're going to draw out this thing and they have giant bullet points on what they want to do. Introduction of Fantastic Four, introduction of Nihilus, introduction of Silver Surfer. Let's complete that and have Galactus storyline come to Earth. And then Frankie Ray's to become Galactus Herald so that Galactus wouldn't eat Earth after starving. He wasn't strong enough to leave the planet. He needed sustenance before he was going to die. And then because Reed Richards didn't allow Galactus to die, he was therefore put in court. He was put on trial by the galactic beings of the universe who said, Reed Richards, you should have killed Galactus when you had Richards. It's a great, great comic run. So that's it, boys and girls. That's it. That's pretty exciting, man. Tomorrow, right now, pre-production has started for Into the Multiverse of Madness. So that means the script and everything they're working on. Sam Raimi has been attached to it. Scott Derrickson is no longer on it. So remember that Sam Raimi is really take over for Scott Derrickson because of creative differences. What we were told was that Marvel wanted to go really big into the Multiverse of Madness. If you remember Scott Derrickson at San Diego Comic-Con, I am making the first scary MCU. He kind of backed off when he said, he goes, it'll be scary, but it'll still be fun. So right there, you could always tell they're already kind of butting heads. Scott did, from what I wanted a smaller movie and he wanted a smaller horror film. Kevin Feige sees Into the Multiverse of Madness as a way to launch different ideas and stories, obviously bringing in different multiverses. For one, we've heard that they want to bring in mutants. That director says, I have these ideas. And Kevin Feige goes, that's a great idea. Let's run with that. It's all yours, John. So John has already proven himself as a writer. He has the chops that can do that. It's a great time if you're a Fantastic Four fan or a fan of the cosmic, because that's where we're going, boys and girls, the supernatural and the cosmic. Say goodbye to a lot of adventures on Earth. They're going to see a lot of cool, trippy stuff into the MCU. And with that, I am going to say thank you. Who would you cast as the rest of the four? Man, that's a good one. Obviously, I'm Emily Emily Blunt and John Krasinski as Reed Richards and Sue Storm. The Thing, really, I mean, it would be CGI, so, whoever could be a voice actor. I would say bring back Michael Chiklis as a voice actor. I think that would be awesome, kind of the two together, because voice as Ben Grimm in The Thing in the first two Fantastic Four films was fantastic. He had, like, the New York accent, everything down. I think it'd be great. Who could play the Human Torch? I mean, I know Ryan Gosling is a little too old, but I would think Ryan Gosling would be a great Human Torch. I'm trying to think who else, man. It'd have to be somebody who's, kind of an exhibitionist, a playboy, think you're very outgoing, doesn't take things too serious. I would say they would find a young up and coming actor, because Johnny Storm is the youngest member of the team. Any of those actors, Ryan Gosling, and he look young, but I think he's in his mid 30s, maybe late 30s. But Ryan Gosling would make a great Human Torch, I think. Also, the guy, I'm trying to think of him now. He played in Ben Forster or something. He's a blonde-headed cat. He was in that film with Chris Pine where they were bank robbers. He's a little bit older too, but also the kid that played Archangel in Age of Apocalypse, that he was pretty good. I mean, at least he looks the part. I don't know what his acting chops are, but the thing would be easy. It's going to be CGI, so any voice actors, so it could be anybody of any age, to be honest with you. The last guy who played the Thing, or whoever they cast as a Thing in the last Fantastic Four movie, was awful. He was nor the size, nor the voice, anything about Ben Grimm, the ever-living blue-eyed Ben Grimm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's from Yancey Street. Chalamet Winmore films, one of the few bright spots of the film. Jesse Pink, Jetstorm. Yeah, he's a little bit small, though. You have to bulk up a little bit. There's no problem days. And Jesse Pink actually getting a little longer. He ain't Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad anymore. Breaking Bad was a good 10 years ago. He's maybe, I don't know, they made him look like that in El Camino, but he looked haggard. He looked beat down. But I would think it's going to be an actor in their 20s, mid 20s, maybe. They definitely want to go young with Johnny Storm. Just look that old. I wonder what version of Reed Richards we're going to get, like the gray sideburns or freshly shaven. Obviously, he still looks a little bit older, so they're not going to go like young Reed Richards, but you never know. But the things they could do with CGI nowadays is kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, John Hamm all the stuff about Doom and all that stuff, that's way down the road. I mean, they've already got slates to 2021, 2022, and all that stuff is going to push back. So Fantastic Four would still be a way away. But imagine Into the Multiverse of Madness, and then you seeing Reed Richards pop on that screen. The audience will lose their minds. If you saw the Illuminati, 20% of the audience would lose their mind, because the rest of the audience will go, who the hell are these guys? Who's that guy in the corner that's not even talking? Doesn't he look like the guy from that awful ABC TV show? Is that Black Bolt? Yeah, man. So that's where we're at, boys and girls. I'm going to let you guys have the rest of your day. It's 7 p.m. Hopefully I'm not stepping on any of the comic book live show now. We will be back tomorrow, boys and girls, at 6 p.m. Pacific for our CovrPrice top 10 list. So make sure you don't miss out, man. We're going live tomorrow, 6 p.m. We got a whole brand new list. Actually, a lot of the books on this list weren't on the list last week. So watch for part 2 of my top 50 comics. I'll probably post it on Wednesday, which is going to be weird because in that video I said, make sure you guys check out the CovrPrice top 10 tomorrow. So there you go. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me as I kind of break into your regularly scheduled programming. Until next time, boys and girls, which is 6 p.m. tomorrow. Keep digging in them long boxes. Peace out.